Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to ITHive.org's Saturday morning tech show for May the 4th, 2019. Or, for those Star Trek fans, May the 4th be with you. Um, anyway, today I just wanted to, I think we'll talk about a disaster and if we're ready for that. But before I get into that subject matter, just some housekeeping. So we do this show live every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And the reason we do it live is that, we just want to show the human face behind ITHive.org and that we, we're not scripted. We're human beings just like you. And, we do that. So, anyway, enough of that stuff. But of course, this is a live show, so you got questions, comments, post them while we're doing this. We only do it for about 10 minutes or so, maybe 15, and open to comments and stuff. And of course, so if you got something, then let's hear it. And of course, if you're watching this, the recorded version, which will be up on YouTube, Facebook, links in Twitter, all that stuff, by all means, post your comments there as well, or whatever platform you're watching this from. Post your comments, let us know, and we'd be more than happy to answer. Okay, so disaster. Well, it's flooding season here in Canada, and this year, the city of Ottawa, the capital of Canada, declared a state of emergency. Several communities around this area have declared a state of emergency. Thankfully, we are here okay. We're dry, so it's not a big deal, but I can't say that for a lot of communities in this area. We were out on the front lines doing some volunteering last week, and it's simply amazing the number of people that show up and step up and help out. The Army was there and everything, and I can't say enough, right? And my heart goes out to the people that are dealing with this. This is not going to be a slow process, because once the water resides, then cleanup has to happen. So, extremely busy time for a lot of people, and anyway, downside of this is that natural disasters. I'm not a meteorologist or anything, but based on what I know and what I've seen, I think we're going to have to deal with a lot more unexpected natural disasters, whether they be tornadoes, floods, fires, whatever. The climate is changing, right? And those that don't believe that, well, just look around you and open your eyes. Things are changing. And so how does that relate to technology? Well, I'm often thinking as a business owner, what risks do I have on the technological front, right? And I'm proud to say that if I lost every single one of my computers, it would affect my business zero. I can go to the public library and run my business. How many of us could say that, right? And how many of us believe that you can't achieve that? Well, you can, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. It just depends on the level of preparedness you want to have and how quickly you can respond or retool or replatform in the face of disaster, right? And that's the key. When it comes to cost, right? If you run a business, right? How quickly do you want to recover from a disaster? The quicker, the more expensive the solution is, right? But if you just want to protect data, and everyone should, if you run a business and you have data all over the place, or you don't know where your data is, and you don't know how to protect it, or what's happening with it, then maybe you should think about that, right? All too often I see this, in the residential world as well, right, where something has happened, right? Then somebody has lost something, or they lost computers or technology in a flood or something like that, and then they've lost all their information, right? Well, right off the bat, recovering from an unprotected disaster is going to be expensive. And then worse than that, sometimes the information cannot be recovered, or it's too expensive to recover, right? It's far better to protect yourself and protect your technology before that disaster happens. And I have a very, very simple test that I do with all my clients. And if you watch this, right, do it yourself internally and do it regularly. Look at your technology, right, and say to yourself, okay, that thing's gone now. What's happened, right? Because technology, if you think that, you turned on your computer yesterday, tomorrow it'll turn on again, right? Well, what if it doesn't, right? And this happens. What if it doesn't, right? So you're good, and it's a good strategy to assume that technology will fail, right? And if you as a business owner aren't thinking that technology is going to fail, or that your business might get hit by a tornado or a fire or something like that, well, you're putting far too much risk out there. Far too much risk. And you want to make sure that these things don't happen. So, anyway, that's the short message. So, what kinds of solutions can you have? Well, I'm a big component that not one solution is appropriate for every single client, right? It just doesn't work like that because everybody has different budgets. The importance of what we're protecting is different on various levels. So there's lots of solutions, right? And so I'll just name a few. File backup, just straight, ordinary, basic file backup, right? I believe that everybody should be doing this, right? And having secured multiple copies of the data that's important to you, not just locally, but in the cloud, right? Protect yourself. Fairly easy to do. And then there's also the mission critical machines in your organization, or even if you're a residential client, right? You got a lot of data. Maybe it makes sense to, protect an entire machine, right? That can be done, right? You can, even better than this, right? If it makes sense, right, to create your technological infrastructure completely in the cloud, right? That way it's protected in a much more mature environment. But even further than that, right, just because it's in the cloud doesn't mean it's necessarily protected, right? You got to take the step further and make sure that that physical data center, you have redundancy there too, even on a geographical level, depending on, again, right, what we're protecting and what's the cost, right? So, homework for you business owners that are watching this, right? Imagine you've lost all your technology. Was it costing you an hour? Was it costing you a day? Right? If you do not know that answer, right, you better sit down and start figuring out those numbers. Because if you get hit with a disaster, and literally this can happen totally unexpected, as we've seen, right? You're not going to want to have to try and figure that out then, right? That might be the end of your business, right? But if you've got it protected, right, at a reasonable cost that makes sense to your organization, then you're safe. And from a people perspective, right, do you want to be a business owner stressing and worrying and always in that form of crisis, where, oh no, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose stuff. No. Get reliable services like ITHive.org to protect you, right? And it would be a good service if they're actually checking that, right? And giving you the confidence, It's one of the things we do when we do our monthly status reports with our clients. We let them know the health of their backups, right? For those clients that are paying for real live disaster recovery services, we'll actually go through disaster recovery testing, once a quarter. Or if we need to do it more frequently than that, then we'll do that, right? But your protection from disasters is only as good as it being tested, right? I've seen this scenario where people thought they were protected, then they got hit by a disaster just to find out they weren't protected, right? And that kind of complacency and paying for a service to protect you and then not knowing if it works or not until you actually have a disaster is just crazy, right? Yeah, that just doesn't work. So know that you're protected, right? And understand what your risks are. I guess that's the big message, because we don't know when the next disaster will happen. All right, so those of you out there that are battling floods, keep up the fight. And let's hope that we can be more aware of what we're doing to the climate and how we can turn the tables, hopefully, and get things better. All right, we'll talk to you all later. It's going to be a gorgeous weekend here in Eastern Ontario, so a well-deserved break for a lot of you out there. Enjoy the weekend. Take a break, because there's going to still be a lot more work to be done. All right, that's it for today. We'll talk to you next Saturday, 10 o'clock. And like always, comments, ideas for shows, whatever, let me know. Okay? And we'll talk. All right. Out. See you. Bye.